Well, Suzan Harb is a wellbeing counsellor at the British International School in Gaza, which is now entirely online after Israeli forces destroyed its building. She left Gaza in November with her 5 children. She's joining me now in the studio. Very good to have you with us. The world tends to see Gaza through the prism, if you like, the lens of violence and conflict. Tell us what life was like in Gaza before this latest war began.
I arrived in Gaza in March 2022, 23. I came all the way back from Canada. I'm someone who born and raised in UAE, and then most of the time I was in Canada. So if I'm thinking that the luxury life that I had back in those 2 countries, and then I moved back and my homeland, Palestine, where Gaza is, it was a bit difficult for us. It was a bit challenging. Going back in time where electricity is just 4 hours a day, where there's no accessible for clean water for most of the people. We were one of those who are lucky to have enough food on our table, good life, a good house, and enough income, because we were basically based on outside income, not from inside. People from Gaza, the regular people, were having challenges on daily days, on their basic needs, to have enough food on their table, to have enough good stuff for their kids, shortage of income. There is not a regular income that you would say, okay, I have this amount of money every month that I'm going to cover up for my basic needs. No. People are struggling. The infrastructure of Gaza itself as a city, every time they build it up, Israeli military make sure that they have to destroy it for people to go back to the level 0 again. But the thing that I saw over the last a year and a half, it was so amazingly that people are thriving to live. The resiliency of people were so high that you will not see it in any other household in the whole universe. People of Gaza want to live, want to have a freedom, want to stay in Gaza. No one want to leave Gaza, no, even us. Even though with all the challenges that I met, I didn't want to leave Gaza. Surprisingly, when we had the chance to leave in the war, me and my older 2 girls, we were crying, actually, in the Rafah cross-border, because I thought maybe I should stay. Why would I leave? Then I remember the last time I went to the supermarket in November, 2 days before we left, there was nothing in the shelves. And it was like a horror movie. And believe me, if I'm saying this was the first month of the war. So that was not a regular war. There is no equivalent between the power there. There was no shelters. There were no place to call safe place. This is where most of the people felt like we're not safe. And I felt if I have the chance to leave, to give someone else a chance to live, I'll leave. It's not that because, oh, people are running out of Gaza. No, actually, it's the quite opposite. No one I talk to, from my friend or colleagues who left Gaza temporarily, they want to stay out. Everyone's saying, we want to go back, we want to rebuild it. But the challenges that I saw before, it's quite sad.
I want to ask you about the future of Gaza. One of the key elements, of course, is going to be the children of Gaza. Yeah. We mentioned that you're a well-being counsellor for a school in Gaza. Talk to us about the impact that the conflict has been having on the children inside Gaza.
So I worked as a well-being counsellor in the British International School, and this school was actually attracting people who's coming back from outside foreign countries, and they want to connect to their roots. They want to have a good place for kids to start over and a different place where you have the balance between the West and East, right? And the trauma that I saw in the eyes of the people who from Gaza itself, because we have like around 30% of the population from Gaza and 70% of the population of the school from outside of Gaza. The trauma that they carry, it was very, very difficult. When 5 years old asking you, if there's toys in heaven, so if we're gonna die, are we gonna have enough toys in there? Are we gonna meet our relatives or loved ones? Or when there is rockets around and you need to give them comfort, you think, what kind of life kids would live under rockets, missiles, fear every single day that they're gonna lose one of their parents or they're gonna lose the chance to live safely. I remember one of the jokes they used to make around in the school that, so basically, let's say today where they're shooting missiles on us, where it happens in August and May, since I went to Gaza, and there was nothing as demanding them to do. But they were like, for 3-5 days, they were shooting missiles and bombing around. And I was terrified. And my colleagues the other day, so they would say, oh, we're done. We finished our targets. You can go back to regular life. Imagine that. You're being bombarded in the middle of the night. The next morning, you're going to go and do your regular life. And they were like, this isn't a war, Suzan. This is just escalation. You didn't see the fire belt yet. You didn't see whatever the description of the distraction that they saw before. And I thought, what kind of jokes is this? But when I saw it in the first month in the war, and the genocide that I lived, I realized that, oh my gosh, this is what they were talking about. So whatever alteration that happened, an escalation that they were talking about, it's totally a joke for the Israeli side. They're just playing with the fireworks. And that month in November, we almost died a few times when there were a fire belt on the next building that we stay there. At that time, I felt there is no safe place. People are struggling, not just before the war or after the war. For 70 years, they're struggling. They're struggling to live a regular life, a normal life that any kid in this world would live. It's quite sad for kids. And instead of thinking, what I want to do next, they think, is there war coming or not?
Suzan Harb, we appreciate you giving us your views on this, and thank you very much indeed for being with us on Al Jazeera.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.